everyone, it's Shauna the Tax Goddess. So today I want to talk about a subject that always breaks my heart, but sometimes it just needs to happen. What do you do if you have to shut down your business? Okay. Now, there are different levels of things that you need to do. So there's federal level, there's state level, there might be city level. In this video, I am covering federal level, and especially for C corporations, which is an 1120, okay? But this is something you should be considering across the board. If you're an LLC, if you're an S Corp, if you're a partnership, all of these things do matter. Now, the biggest part about shutting down your business, besides paying your bills, making sure your employment taxes are paid, all your payroll taxes, any sales taxes have been paid, everything's been filed, before you start shutting down bank accounts, there are a few more things that are very specific to the IRS. So the first one is actually dissolving your business structure. Now, that is generally going to be at the state level. So if you have an LLC, if you have an Inc., make sure that you've done the appropriate corporate minutes as well as the dissolution notes. Okay, certainly you don't want somebody 3 years from now coming back in a lawsuit, some legal liability, and saying, well, you never shut down the company. You still owe me X amount of money for whatever reason. Okay, so make sure you have the appropriate, corporate minutes and dissolution notes, right? You want to file the final tax return. Now, it's very, very important that when you file the final tax return, there's actually a box on the top of the form that says, is this the first, final, amended? Make sure you check the box for final, okay? Very, very important that you check that box. That will help you shut down the EIN requirements with the IRS. So the IRS will know that it's final, right? That this is done. You're not expecting anything else, okay? Now, there's a few states, so kind of leaning on the state side, there's a few states that skip the entity dissolution, right? People will skip the entity dissolution. The states will come after you. California does not dissolve your entity until you file for dissolution. They want their money, okay? So that means during the time that you did not actually dissolve it, you will continue to pay the $800 minimum fee plus accrued penalties, which can really add up, okay? So make sure you're shutting down your business structure with the state as well. Now, if you have a corporation, an actual Inc. or C Corp, with a C Corp, you must file Form 966, which is the corporate dissolution or liquidation form. That's an IRS form, okay? You must, of course, file the final tax return, check in that final box. You may also need to file Forms 4797 and, huge flashing note here, and Form 8594 if you sell your business. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this one because this one's huge and it gets missed all the time. So if we're selling a business, we'll get to that here in a second. So make sure that you are going down this checklist and making sure that you are checking all the boxes, right? That you're not missing anything, okay? Because if you dissolve in your head, I'm done, I've shut down the bank accounts, I've killed my EIN with the IRS, but you don't file at the state level, that could be $800 penalties in California, right? I know some of the cities have licenses that have to be shut down. So definitely double check with your CPA in your local state to make sure that there's nothing else that you need to do at a local level to get everything shut down. Now, I want to move to the business sale, okay? I have seen this a lot over the past couple of years. People were just kind of done with things after COVID, and so they sold their business. Now, selling a business can mean multiple things. It could mean selling the client list. It could mean selling the assets, physical like inventory or equipment. It could mean selling your brand, your name. Okay, so with this one, I actually want to show you guys what this form looks like because it is very, very specific. And if you do not have this, the IRS can actually come back to you on this, all right? So this is the form. Let's see if I can blow that up any. Not really giving me a blown up version here. So this is the form itself of what you're looking at, the 8594. And this form itself looks pretty basic, okay? This section down here is the one you really have to worry about. So right here in the original statement of assets transferred. In the process of a sale, the IRS actually pits the buyer and the seller against each other, okay? Because what the IRS is trying to do is come up with the most fair sales price possible. So for example, if you sell something like goodwill or your brand name, that is going to be a different class on this sheet than something like inventory or accounts receivable, okay? Each of the classes have a very different taxation outcome to both the buyer and the seller of the business. So it's one of those things, this form, if you as the buyer or the seller don't get this form in writing from each other, right? This should be a part of the actual sales process. The IRS can actually disallow your allocation, meaning you might not get the depreciation that you wanted if you're the buyer. You might pay more in tax than you thought you were going to if you're the seller. So you absolutely want to have this form classified, handled, part of the agreement, which assets are going to get allocated to what when you sell any portion of your business, okay? So if you have any questions, these forms sometimes can be a little complicated, and for many people it's a little scary. This is a big deal. If you're selling your business, often it can be one of the biggest transactions in your life. So if you are looking at shutting down either because the business just needs to shut down, or you're shutting down because you're selling, okay, we'd be happy to talk to you. We actually have tax strategies if you're selling. We have tax strategies to get you out of paying any tax on your business sale. So reach out. Why would you want to pay more tax than you have to? So we would love to chat with you. Reach out to us at taxgoddess.com. We'd be happy to go over this form, the details, your sales agreement, your buying agreement. If you're buying a company, absolutely love to go over these with you. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can always reach me and the team at taxgoddess.com. All right, we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.